Some crimes shatter a single life. Others shatter everyone that life ever touched. And then there are crimes that leave a wound so deep, so permanent, that people spend their existence learning to breathe around the hole where their heart used to be. This is the story of Sarah Patterson. Not her death, her life. And the woman who refuses to let the world forget. September 12, 2019. Maplewood, New Jersey. A quiet town, tree-lined streets. The kind of place where people still leave their doors unlocked, where neighbors know each other's names. On this Thursday afternoon, the sun was warm. Children played in yards. Dogs barked at passing cars. Normal, peaceful. The kind of day you don't think twice about because nothing ever happens here. Nothing ever happened in Maplewood, until it did. At 5:47 p.m. that Thursday, Margaret Patterson called her daughter. No answer. She left a message. Light, casual. Sarah didn't call back. By 8 p.m., Margaret called again, straight to voicemail. By 9 p.m., she called 4 more times. By 10 p.m., she was in her car, driving the 12 minutes to her daughter's apartment. Her hands gripping the steering wheel so hard her knuckles were white. What Margaret saw next would be burned into her memory forever. The kind of image that doesn't fade, doesn't blur, doesn't soften with time. The kind of image that visits you in the dark hours of the night, when you're alone. When you're trying to remember your daughter's laugh, but all you can see is something else. Some things don't need to be said. Some images don't need to be described. Some horrors are better left to the imagination, because the imagination, at least, has limits. Reality doesn't. Sarah Patterson was 24 years old. She worked at a dental office. She answered phones. She scheduled appointments. She brought cookies to the elderly patients, because, she said, they're lonely, and cookies make people feel loved. She had a laugh that filled rooms. A smile that made strangers smile back. A heart that forgave too easily, trusted too quickly, loved too completely. She had a journal. On the last page she ever wrote in, dated September 10th, 2019, 2 days before she died, she wrote, "Met someone today. His name is Derek. Came in for a cleaning. Funny, kind eyes. Asked me for coffee. I said yes. Maybe this time will be different. Maybe this time someone will stay. Maybe this time." She never got to finish the sentence. To understand how Sarah Patterson ended up on the floor of her own living room, we have to understand the man who walked into her life just 48 hours before she died. His name was Derek Chambers. 32 years old, he worked as a delivery driver for a local furniture company. He had no criminal record, no red flags, no warnings, nothing that would make Sarah think twice when he smiled at her across the reception desk. Derek Chambers was born in 1987 in Newark, New Jersey, youngest of 4. His father left when he was 3. His mother worked double shifts at a diner. By all accounts, his childhood was unremarkable. Troubled, perhaps, but not the kind that makes headlines. Not the kind that explains the unexplainable. The most dangerous predators aren't the ones who look dangerous. They look exactly like everyone else. They smile at the right times, say the right things, make you feel special. They're chameleons. They become whoever you need them to be. Sarah needed someone who would stay, someone who listened, someone who made her feel seen, and Derek became that person, for exactly 48 hours. On Wednesday, September 11th, Sarah and Derek went for coffee at a small cafe downtown. The barista would later remember them, said they sat in the corner booth for over 2 hours. Said Sarah laughed a lot. Said Derek held her hand across the table. She seemed really happy, you know? Like genuinely happy. The kind of happy where you can't stop smiling. He was, I don't know, quiet, but in a nice way, like he was just soaking her in. When I heard what happened, I couldn't believe it. That guy, the one holding her hand, no way, but he did. The coffee date ended around 9 p.m. They walked out together. A security camera from a nearby bank captured them crossing the street. Sarah was laughing at something Derek said. She touched his arm. He smiled down at her. They looked like any other couple. Two people, beginning something, hoping something. Less than 24 hours later, Sarah Patterson was dead. What happened between 9 p.m. Wednesday and 7 p.m. Thursday remains a mystery. Sarah went to work on Thursday morning. Her co-workers said she seemed happy, distracted, glowing. She talked about her coffee date. She mentioned Derek might come by after work. She never clocked out. At 4:30 p.m., she left early. Said she had plans. Said she wanted to change, freshen up, be ready. At 5:15 p.m., her phone pinged at her apartment. At 5:47 p.m., her mother called. No answer. At 7:23 p.m., Derek Chambers' phone pinged at her apartment. For 47 minutes, his phone stayed in that building. Then it left. Then it turned off. Then everything went dark. When you've been doing this as long as I have, you learn to recognize patterns. And this pattern was textbook. Girl meets guy. Girl trusts guy. Girl lets guy into her home. Guy does the unthinkable. Guy runs. The only thing that wasn't textbook was how fast it happened. 48 hours. That's all it took. From first hello to last breath. 48 hours. 48 hours. I had her for 24 years. 24 years of birthdays and Christmases. And scraped knees and broken hearts. And some stranger got 48 hours to undo all of it. How is that fair? When detectives entered Sarah Patterson's apartment on the night of September 12, 2019, they expected to find a crime scene. What they found was something worse. A crime scene tells a story. It has clues, patterns, logic. What they found in Sarah's apartment was chaos. Pure, senseless, brutal chaos. I've seen a lot in my career. Murders, assaults, things that would make you lose your lunch. But this was different. This wasn't just violence. This was rage. Pure, unfiltered, personal rage. The kind you feel when someone has betrayed you. The apartment had been ransacked, drawers pulled out, furniture overturned, but nothing was missing. Not Sarah's wallet, still on the kitchen counter. Not her phone, found under the couch. Not her jewelry, still in plain sight on her dresser. This wasn't a robbery. This was something else. We found two distinct sets of DNA in the apartment. Sarah's, obviously, and an unknown male profile. The unknown profile was found on multiple surfaces: the coffee table, bedroom door frame, and under Sarah's fingernails. The sample from under her fingernails was significant. It indicated she had fought back, scratched her attacker, tried to defend herself. Sarah Patterson was 5 feet 3 inches tall. She weighed 120 pounds. She had never been in a fight in her life. But in her final moments, when faced with the unthinkable, she fought. She fought like someone who had something to live for. The second set of DNA belonged to Derek Chambers. But that wasn't the only evidence pointing to him. Phone records showed his device pinged at Sarah's apartment building for exactly 47 minutes on the night of September 12, from 7:23 p.m. to 8:10 p.m. Then it left. Then it traveled to a location 6 miles away, where it stayed for 3 hours. Then it turned off. When detectives later searched that location, a wooded area outside town, they found a partially burned jacket. The jacket had Sarah's blood on it. He tried to burn the evidence, probably thought the fire would destroy everything. But he didn't wait long enough. He didn't make sure it was completely destroyed. That's how they get caught. They're always in a hurry, always panicking, always making mistakes. Killers aren't geniuses. They're just people who did one terrible thing, and then they do 100 stupid things trying to cover it up. Derek Chambers was arrested on September 19, 2019, exactly 1 week after Sarah Patterson's murder. He was found at his mother's house in Newark, hiding in the basement. When police read him his rights, he said 3 words: "I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to." That's what he said. Those 4 words. I didn't mean to. He didn't mean to. He didn't mean to what? Didn't mean to walk into my daughter's apartment. Didn't mean to put his hands on her. Didn't mean to leave her on the floor with her shoes still on. He didn't mean to. And now she's gone. And I have to live with that for the rest of my life. Because he didn't mean to. The trial of Derek Chambers began on June 3, 2020. It lasted for weeks. 4 weeks of testimony, evidence, and arguments. 4 weeks of Margaret Patterson sitting in the front row, watching the man who killed her daughter. Every day I sat there. Every day I looked at him. He never looked back. Not once. He couldn't face me. He couldn't face what he took. Coward, that's what he was. A coward who killed my brave, beautiful daughter. The defense argued Derek Chambers had a troubled childhood, an absent father, a struggling mother. Trauma, they said. Mental health issues, they said. Diminished capacity, they said. My client is not a monster. He made terrible choices, succumbed to impulses he couldn't control. He needs help, not punishment. He needs treatment, not prison. The prosecution had a different word for it. Sarah Patterson needed help too. She needed help when a man she trusted put his hands on her. She fought for her life, scratching, clawing, trying to survive. Where was her help? Where was her treatment? The defendant is not a victim. He is not mentally ill. He is a predator who chose a victim, stalked her, gained her trust, and then killed her. That is not diminished capacity. That is evil, plain and simple. They made him sound like he was the one who suffered, like he was the one who needed sympathy. And I sat there thinking, my daughter is dead. My daughter is in the ground. And you're crying for him. I don't understand this world. I don't understand how anyone can look at what he did and feel sorry for him. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. 6 hours to decide the fate of a man. On June 27, 2020, they returned with a verdict. We, the jury, find the defendant, Derek Chambers, guilty of first-degree murder. When they read that verdict, I felt nothing, just empty, like all the air had been sucked out. Everyone around me was crying, cheering, hugging. But I just sat there, because none of it brought her back. None of it. Justice. That's what they called it. Justice. But justice is just a word. My daughter is still gone, and no verdict will ever change that. Derek Chambers was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He will die in a cell. He will never walk free again. He'll have 3 meals a day, a bed to sleep in, maybe even a TV. And my daughter has nothing. Just a headstone and a mother who visits it every Sunday. Who got the better deal here? The last goodbye. Forever loved, St. Mary's Cemetery. A quiet hill, 3 miles from Sarah Patterson's childhood home. Every Sunday, rain or shine, Margaret Patterson drives those miles. She brings flowers, sunflowers, Sarah's favorite. I talk to her. I know she can't hear me. I know she's not there. But I talk to her anyway. I tell her about my week, about the neighbors, the weather, how much I miss her. Sometimes I bring cookies. the ones she used to bake. I leave them by the headstone. The birds eat them. I like to think that's her way of saying thank you. Since Sarah's death, Margaret became an advocate. She speaks at victims' rights events. She meets families who lost loved ones to violence. She shares her story, her pain, her daughter. If I don't talk about her, who will? If I don't keep her memory alive, she'll just become another statistic. She wasn't a statistic. She was my daughter. She was someone's best friend. She was the girl who brought cookies to lonely old people and laughed too loud at bad jokes. She mattered. Margaret still has Sarah's journal. She reads it sometimes. Not the last page, that one is too painful. But the earlier pages, the happy pages, where Sarah wrote about her dreams, her hopes, her plans. Someday I want to have a garden. A big one, with sunflowers and tomatoes, and maybe some roses. I want to teach my kids how to plant things and watch them grow. I want to be the kind of mum who bakes cookies, and stays up late, and always listens. She would have been that mum. The best mum, and someone took that away. Not just from her, from all of us. After a while, people stop calling. They stop checking in. They assume you're okay, that you've moved on. But there is no normal. Not anymore. There's just before and after. And the after never ends. I still make coffee in her mug every morning. The one with the birds. Every morning I hold it and I think about her. And every morning I miss her just as much as I did the day she left. If there is a lesson in Sarah Patterson's story, it's not about evil or justice. It's about love. The kind of love that doesn't die even when everything else does. The kind of love that keeps a mother visiting a grave every Sunday. They say time heals all wounds. That's a lie. Time doesn't heal anything. It just teaches you to carry the weight. It teaches you to breathe around the hole in your chest. It teaches you to keep going, even when every step hurts. But the love never goes away. That's the one thing they can't take. That's the one thing that's mine forever. Sarah Patterson was 24 years old when she died. She loved sunflowers and cookies and bad jokes. She believed people were good. She trusted too easily. She laughed too loud. She lived too briefly. But for 24 years, she was here. She loved and was loved. She mattered. And as long as her mother draws breath, as long as that mug sits on the kitchen table, Sarah Patterson will never truly be gone. I'll see you next week, sweetheart. I'll bring more flowers, maybe some cookies. The birds will eat them, and I'll pretend it's you. And I'll tell you about my week, and the neighbors, and the weather. And I'll pretend you can hear me. I love you, baby. Forever. Always. Goodbye for now. Since this documentary was filmed, Derek Chambers remains incarcerated at New Jersey State Prison. His appeals have been denied. He will spend the rest of his life behind bars. If you or someone you know is in an abusive relationship or feels unsafe, please reach out to the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233. You are not alone. There are people who will listen. There are people who will help. There are people who will stay. Hey, you've reached Sarah. Sorry I missed you. Leave a message and I'll call you back. I always do, promise. Dark evidence, where the evidence tells the story, but the heart remembers. Subscribe for new documentaries every day.